Good evening and Bruchim Habayim to the annual Yom Yerushalayim celebration in our community. My name is Ariel Irani, a Shaliach at Chak Wallenberg campus. We're happy to celebrate with you tonight this celebration that has become a tradition for the last few years. It's a celebration in which we show our love to our only capital, the city that many dreamed of, the city that we did not forget through the exile and through wars, through pain and even happiness. Under the chuppah, she was there, you, Yerushalayim. You were and still are the city of gold in the eyes of King David, but also in the eyes of Naomi Shemer, an inspiration to one of the most moving songs that we will ever sing for you here tonight. A lot of people try to understand what is it there in your heart of so many religions, so many faces and opinions, so many wars and suffering that makes us miss you year after year. What makes us fight for you no matter the costs, no matter the odds, no matter the price? We explain to ourselves every morning, day after day, Wed Jul. Let us today take you to a journey. Let us take you to that place of inspiration, to stay with Yerushalayim just a little bit more. To hear and to acknowledge the fact that there will be no other Yerushalayim. To know that deep inside our hearts, she is waiting for us after all these years, Be'ava. Part of this journey is to understand what we did and still are doing to keep Yerushalayim close. To sanctify her name. We hear of heroes, of strong and fearless warriors that came to her rescue, that tried to get her to her wall, to get back to her walls, to her caressing hands after years of waiting, years that seemed like a lifetime. Some of these warriors were the members of Kfar Tzion, now known as Gush Etzion, a region that guards the gate to her castle. Danny, a member of the Kfar and one of many admirers, once said, "In childhood, we were nurtured and told by our parents, the men and women of Kfar Tzion, about the wonderful legacy left for us. As we grew up, we watched the tree in the distance. We watched the western wall from the rooftops. We knew that it's just a matter of time, for their fate is entwined together, that we will be back to those magical streets. We will be back in our kibbutz, for the city and the Kfar are connected." In 1967, ladies and gentlemen, during the liberation of the Western Wall, the Temple Mount, we knew it also saved Gush Etzion. Today, we will focus on Gush Etzion as a symbol of a place that we return to after many years of yearning, of hoping, hope against hope, that someday we will return. It was a place that was built and settled before the establishment of the State of Israel. And just like Yerushalayim fell into the hands of strangers right after, in 1967, Yerushalayim was liberated. So Kfar Tzion and many holy places with it. Ben-Gurion summed this up by saying, "If there is a Jewish Jerusalem today, the Jewish people owe their gratitude to the defenders of Gush Etzion." It would be an honor to open our evening by inviting our Mara Da'atra, Rabbi Korovkin, to say
our amazing shlichim who do so much for our community. And I feel I need to emphasize that many of us only see our shlichim when we're here in the Kehillah, but they actually have jobs as well. Everything that they do for our Kehillah is above and beyond their regular day jobs. And so we are especially makir tov to everything that you do, and we cherish the opportunity to be able to hold on to you as long as we can. So thank you very much for all. How appropriate it is to emphasize or to play up the theme of Gush Etzion, Yom Yerushalayim. Rav Amital, Zecher Tzadik V'Kadosh Livracha, was just nifter, I think, less than 2 years ago. And I'm in the middle of reading the biography of Rav Amital, which is a fascinating story of the Gush and how this small little community with a tree on a hill became this flourishing Jewish community which represents religious Zionism in Israel today. I want to share with you just a very brief story. The sainted Rabbi Aryeh Levine, who was known as the Tzaddik of Yerushalayim, could not contain his joy after the reunification of Yerushalayim in 1967. By the way, I just noticed, I was upstairs, there's a bat mitzvah program going on upstairs. The reunification of Yerushalayim happened 47 years ago. That means that most of the parents of the Benot Mitzvah weren't even alive when that happened. That's a very sobering thought. But Baruch Hashem, to think that for most adults today, Yerushalayim is a reality that has been there for us for our entire lives. But nevertheless, even though he was so filled with joy, the day after the reunification, two members of Israel's Knesset paid Reb Aryeh a visit on their way to the Kotel. Mazel Tov, they greeted him. At last, HaKotel biyadenu, the wall is in our hands. After the rejoicing subsided, Reb Aryeh soberly commented, now we have to pray for mercy from heaven. So the two visitors' smiles quickly vanished. And they asked him, why are you so worried at a time of universal joy? Reb Aryeh explained, let me tell you what the Torah says. After Avraham Avinu in Parshas Lech Lecha successfully battled the four kings, retrieved his nephew Lot, restores all of the captives back to their homes, Hashem appears to Avram in Bereshis Perek Tesvav, and he says to him, Al tira Avram anochi magen lach. Don't worry, Avram, I'm going to protect you. So Reb Aryeh asked, he says, why did Avram require Hashem's guarantee of protection after the battle? I can understand Hashem saying, don't worry, I'll protect you when you go out to war. But he's just come home victorious. Why does Hashem have to say, don't worry, Al tira anochi magen lach, I'll protect you? So Avram knew that the belligerent nations around him would not take his victory quietly. There were sure to be repercussions and recriminations against Avram for stealing the victory from them. And this is why he needed Hashem's assurance that he would be protected. And so Reb Aryeh concluded that the same is true today. The nations will not accept Israel's victory calmly. They will certainly contest our rights to the land. I remember reading a Newsweek magazine that was in my wife's grandparents' home from 1967. And in it was the most ebullient and prideful description of the victory of Israel over all of its enemies. And just think how quickly that sense of pride and admiration of Israel has soured and turned into the sour voices that we hear today of accusations that have been leveled against Israel. And that's the way it's been for all of time. So especially today, when we have to constantly worry about the security of our holiest city, and we have to also constantly worry about communities like the Gush. It's appropriate to rejoice, but that rejoicing must be coupled with our eyes lifted heavenward in prayer. And so we all seek Hashem's mercy that Kol Achenu, especially our brethren throughout Eretz Yisrael, can continue living in peace and security. So let us remember that we have to be very grateful on this day. We have to say Hallel on this day and thank the Ribono Shel Olam for this great gift of Yerushalayim, and reaffirm the pasuk daily that we say in Yoel, V'Yehuda le'olam teshev, V'Yerushalayim l'dor v'dor, that Yehuda will exist forever and Jerusalem from generation to generation. Chag Sameach. Please join Rabbi Borovsky, Rabbi Boaz in song.
Hey
I would like to invite Baron Dasper, Shaliach in Chat Wallenberg campus, to give us an insight on Gush Etzion, one step before Jerusalem.
Good evening. What I want to talk today is how Gush Etzion during all the history was all the time one step or the first line before Jerusalem. And I will start from the first Jew in his first visit in Jerusalem, and this is Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu during the Akedah. Now, what is the connection? How Gush Etzion get into the story? How Gush Etzion get into the story of the Akedah? The story is like that. During the Akedah, during the way to the Akedah, there is one pasuk, Vayehi bayom shlishi, v'yaret hamakom elchu. In the third day of walking, they saw Jerusalem. Very interesting because there was the first and the only conversation that we have between Avraham and Yitzchak in all the Tanakh. It was there, and probably it was in Gush Etzion. In a minute we will say why. It was in the hill that you can see in the picture. This hill called Atala in the Arabic name, or today in the new modern name, Givat Oz. Why it's important this spot? It's important because in this third day, he said the donkey and his two servants stays there, and he continued only with Yitzchak to Akedat Yitzchak, which means in different words that this is one step before Jerusalem, that it's too holy for the donkey and the two servants. And from now on, he have to continue only with his son. Probably, according to the Pshat, this is a spot, this is a place that Yitzchak himself understood that he became to be sacrificed. Which means, in this point, it's not only the story of Avraham Avinu, his faith and his Yirat Hashem, it's become to be also a story of Yitzchak. So this is one step before. Why or how do you know it's in Gush Etzion? Like you can see in the map, Avraham Avinu came from Beersheba. It's a little bit souther than the map that you can see. If you divide the way from Beersheba to Jerusalem to 3, in the third part, it's approximately starting with Gush Etzion, which means the third day. Also, and more important than that this hill that you saw, it's the southest place in Israel that you can see Har HaBayit. By the way, it's amazing to stand there and to see exactly between two mountains, exactly in the middle, you can see Har HaBayit, and it's there. So this is the spot. By the way, this spot is located approximately 1 kilometer east from my house in Israel. I'm skipping approximately 600 or 700 years forward, and you can see in this picture Yehoshaphat, the king of Yehuda, celebrating with all his nation, celebrating in Gush Etzion. It's not an original picture, but they are celebrating in Gush Etzion. Why is that they are celebrating, and why in Gush Etzion? The story is like that. Yehoshaphat is sitting in Jerusalem, his capital, and he knows that Ammon and Moab want to attack Israel, and in the way to attack Israel, they decided instead of attack from the east, like doing all the time, to attack from the south. Now, how did they do it? I will show you in a minute. Here, Ammon and Moab located here in the east side of the Jordan. They're coming here usually to attack Jerusalem. They're going here from the east. They're going in the south and want to go from here, from the south to Jerusalem. To reach from here, from the Dead Sea to the mountains, there's a lot of cliffs. It's a very, very difficult way. Also, it's in the desert, in Jordan desert, but there is a river here called Tkoa River. Tkoa River is either there is a path that you can walk there, and there is water there. So they're going to celebrate. I suppose you also don't want to celebrate in Israel in the desert without air condition. So we go up the hills, exactly to Gush Etzion, to a place called Emek HaBracha, the Blessed Valley, the Blessed Valley. This Emek HaBracha, again, I won't give you the proofs now, located approximately 500 meters south of my house. Third story. Third story, you can see here on the map the kingdom of the Hashmonaim. Kingdom of the Hashmonaim, again, we skipped approximately 700 years. Their kingdom, the capital is in Jerusalem, and their kingdom it's on the mountains of Yehuda. Like we know, Yehuda Maccabi had 8 battles. 8 battles, it's very interesting because you can divide them like a Chanukiah. He had 4 battles before he conquered Jerusalem, 4 battles later after he conquered Jerusalem to keep Jerusalem, and in the middle, which means the Shamash, when he pured the temple. So the 4th and the 5th battle were in Gush Etzion. Why so? Because at the beginning he tried to reach to Jerusalem from the north, didn't succeed, from the west and didn't succeed, and then he came from the south in the 4th battle, beat the Greeks in this battle, and conquered Jerusalem, pure the temple. Later on in the 5th battle, the Greeks again tried to conquer Jerusalem from him, and the 5th battle was also in Gush Etzion. In the 5th battle, there was a very famous tragedy. Again, like you can see in the picture, also it's not original picture, when Elazar, the brother of Yehuda, saw a big elephant. He thought that this is the commander of the Greeks. He thought that if he will kill this commander, we'll win this battle. So he came under the elephant, killed the elephant, also succeeded to kill the Greek that stayed there. But first of all, he wasn't the commander, and we lose the game. And secondly, the elephant fell upon Elazar, and he died. Till today, there is a village called Elazar on his name, a village in Gush Etzion. This battle, you can guess, located approximately 1 kilometer west than my house. I'm skipping another 200 years, the latest day of the Second Temple. Approximately 20 years ago, we found this place. It's a mikveh. It's a mikveh, huge mikveh in the terms of those days. This mikveh, you can see there is an entrance and an exit. Why entrance and an exit? It's a Mishnah Meforeshet that if you have 2 ways, so the impure people that enter to the mikveh won't impure the pure people that are going out. But the thing that's weird with this mikveh, that there is no any village around this mikveh. I mean, huge village without any huge mikveh without any village. So why there is a mikveh there? Any ideas?
She used to go to the BAYT.
Exactly. Like we said with Avraham Avinu, the same thing with Avraham Avinu. It's 1 day walk from Beit HaMikdash. 1 day walk. If you want to pure yourself without any night in between, to impure again, so you go into the mikveh in Gush Etzion, like we said, 1 step before Jerusalem, and then you become pure to Jerusalem. So it's again not only wars, it's also for pureness, and a spiritual aspect is that Gush Etzion is 1 step before Jerusalem. I'm skipping again because I do it very briefly to the 20th century. That I would say very, very fast. If you want more information, more knowledge, we have all the all the posters there, and you can read it later. So, 3 times during the 20th century, or later will be the 4th, but 3 times, Jews bought lands in Gush Etzion, tried to settle this area, and banished by Arabs. The first time was some Haredim, very poor Haredim, that all their money they bought those land, called this place Migdal Eder, and the Arabs banished them 2 years later. Secondly, a group called El Har bought more lands, settled it in 1935. Again, the Arabs banished them. Later, in 1943, again Kibbutz Kfar Etzion was established. After Kibbutz Kfar Etzion was established there were more 3 kibbutzim there, and because of that, it became to be Gush Etzion. Gush between a group of kibbutzim that were there. They have a wonderful life that you can see now in Married there, have children there, wonderful for kibbutzim, till what happened next, that it's something very, very happy, but very problematic. But in this very day started the War of Independence, and one of the most problematic places were Gush Etzion, because it's isolated. Gush Etzion is isolated, and for going to Gush Etzion back and forth to bring the supplies, they need some convoys. The Arabs all the time attack those convoys. A lot of people died in those convoys. The Arabs didn't attack the kibbutzim themselves, only the convoys, but it was very, very difficult life to live there. Because of that, they decided to send all the children and their mothers to Jerusalem, because it became to be not a safe place to be, and it's become to be, instead of kibbutzim, something like bases. But still, they could protect themselves with those convoys, till what happened that maybe changed the history of Jerusalem and the history of Gush Etzion. And this is this telegram, the telegram. This is the original telegram that they got, that changed the history. The telegram said that they have to block the way, to block the road between Hebron and Jerusalem. Why to block this road? You can see here in the map. You see in the map, there is one road between Hebron and Jerusalem. Hebron is a city, or were a city there, of 30,000 Arabs that want to help their brothers in Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, like we know, the greatest battles, either in 48 and in 67 later, were in Jerusalem. And we know that a supply of soldiers from Hebron that will help them will be something very, very problematic to Jerusalem. They decided to block, or get the command to block this way. And there are some stories what happened then. The most famous and interesting story was in the Battle of San Simon. For that, we can see here, if we can see the map of Jerusalem. See the map of Jerusalem? This is the map of Jerusalem in 1947. 1948. Like you can see, we can see here, we see like that. All of this is the Jew part of Jerusalem. Here, this is the Arabic part of Jerusalem, what today we know as Katamon and Baka, all those neighborhoods. Till today, you can see the Arabs' houses. Here, in the black is Talpiot and Kibbutz Ramat Rachel, that again, neighborhoods in Jerusalem that was isolated. Here, there is a very high hill that called today San Simon, and there was a battle in San Simon, in this place. The battle of San Simon. If we will win this battle, we can control all the south of Jerusalem. If we will lose this battle, we will lose all the south of Jerusalem. Now, in this hill, there is a monastery. See it in the next. Here. This, in San Simon. The Palmach was in this monastery. There was a very, very difficult battle there. A lot of Arabs attacked the Palmach in this monastery, and suddenly, in the middle of this battle, the Palmach understood that most of the soldiers was injured. Most of the soldier was injured. They decided maybe even to run away or to surrender. The result will be that all the people there will die. All the injured will die. And before they did it, they almost did it, suddenly the Arabs gave up. The Arabs gave up and went back, and it was a miracle. All the people from the Palmach couldn't explain what happened there, but that's what happened. Because of that, we win this battle and we win all the south of Jerusalem. What's really happened there, we discovered only a few years later. One convoy from Hebron came to help in the south of Jerusalem, to help them in the south of Jerusalem, to conquer and to win this battle in San Simon. The soldiers from Gush Etzion shoot this convoy, and this convoy just made a U-turn, didn't came back, called the Arabs in Jerusalem, said we're not coming to help you, and they give up, and we have all the south of Jerusalem. What I know that it's not only our analyzing. The person that said it is Ben Gurion, like Ariel Irani quoted before. This you have the exact quote, even though he said it in Hebrew. But this is the translation of his quote, that if we have a Jewish Jerusalem till today, it's because of the soldiers of Gush Etzion. So in the border in Jerusalem should be much, much differently without the people from Gush Etzion. So this is the first and the happy result that we have from this battle. The sad result that we have from this battle, that the Arabs understood that they can't let the people in Gush Etzion to continue to live there. And because of that, they decided that they have to attack the kibbutzim themselves. There was two battles. One of them were in Kafei Benisan, the first battle, and the Arabs couldn't succeed to conquer Gush Etzion. The second battle was 2 days in a row, in Gimel Be'iyar and Dalet Be'iyar, Tafshin Chet, very symbolic days. Dalet Be'iyar is 1 day before the declaration, before Yom Ha'atzmaut. 1 day before Yom Ha'atzmaut, Gush Etzion fell, and the very sad result that when they didn't have any ammunition, any more ammunition, we come to surrender, and then the Arabs killed all the soldiers in Israel, all the soldiers in Kfar Etzion. This was the biggest tragedy in the War of Independence. Since 1948 till 1967, 19 years that the people from Gush Etzion stand on the mountains in front of Gush Etzion, look upon the tree, the lone oak, and saw, this is Gush Etzion, this is our home, this is our land, we want to go back there. There was a lot of orphans and widows, all the orphans and widows that came a few months before to Jerusalem, and they waited that one day they could come back to Gush Etzion. And then 1967, we know the famous battle in Jerusalem, Kafret Be'iyar. Most of the battle was at night, or Givat HaTachmoshet, and when they conquered the old city. At the morning we have the Kotel, all the famous part, Har HaBayit B'Yadenu, the famous picture, I suppose you see now, with the Tzanchanim, the parachuters near the Kotel. But I prefer the second picture, that we can see the parachuters sitting with the back to the Kotel. I think it's a very symbolic picture, because, alright, we conquered the Kotel, what's now? The Kotel is behind us, what's now? And the second step was to conquer Hebron. This is the time to conquer Hebron, and they ran to Hebron in Kafret Be'iyar this very day. By the way, they conquered Gush Etzion. Why I say, by the way, there was no any battle, because Gush Etzion is one step before Jerusalem. But if we have Jerusalem, there is no any fight in Gush Etzion. There was also no any fight in Hebron. It's a very interesting story. Who conquered Hebron, or how many soldiers conquered Hebron? Only Rav Goren. By he and his driver conquered Hebron. And this was also in Kafret Biyar, so this celebration, Kafret Biyar, is not only Yom Yerushalayim, it's Yom of other some places in Israel. Since 1967, what happened in Gush Etzion, I will ask my wife, Gaila Dasler, to continue.
I'll just add a few little words about what is happening today. So as you see, you can see the name of the street, Kafret Biyar, the name of our street. That's this actual day. 39, you're welcome to come. That I'll say in the end, but you הקדמת אותי. So that's our name, and since 1967 that the people of Kfar Etzion wanted to build it immediately and to rebuild it, and they started from a few kibbutzim, but now we have around 20 different villages in Gush Etzion, tens of thousands of citizens, and there are many different kinds of yishuvim. There is יישובים דתיים, יישובים חילוניים, יישובים מעורבים, mixed יישובים. And as someone that grew up in Yerushalayim, I can tell you that it's a beautiful place. Not only because it has a beautiful view and nice people, but I think you can see there the kids that are growing up on these stories that you just heard. And those stories bring us a lot of heroism, faith, belief, a lot of patience, and a lot of hope. And of course, the connection to Yerushalayim, because Yerushalayim is the heart, but we feel as part of this body. Another interesting point that connects Toronto to Gush Etzion is that there are many shlichim that came from Gush Etzion. I'll mention only a few of them that I hope you remember. איתי ושולמית מור יוסף, שרה ודני אליאב, משפחת ויצמן, פנינה וברוך ויינטרוב, אריאל וחפצי אקריש, יעקב ושרה דון, הרב בנימין, a little bit back in the history, הרב בנימין ונעמי תבורי, הרב אורי ויהודי דסברג, and now we have Dina and Shimon Vayas and ourselves, and there are more that I'm sure we skipped, but there are still more. And also, and even maybe even a better point that relates Toronto to Gush Etzion, many people that made Aliyah from this community and live now in Gush Etzion, and also it's a very short list of a lot more. Mishpachat Mishkin, Mishpachat Dibo, David Vashar Mandel, Dvorah Katz, that used to be Levin, משפחת שרמן, דניאל ומירם בלוך, יהודה ופנינה ניקרסון, משפחת פלאצ'ר, משפחת קליין, Judith ואיתן דיימונד, and there are many more that are waiting for you there. We'll be happy to show you a short video of 3 minutes of